In this dystopian future, the government forces everyone to get an ocular implant that records everything they see. These implants also show people's personal information, details about objects like cars, and even ads. A detective named Sal is on his way to work but freezes when he sees Anon pass by because the implants don't have information on her. He thinks it's just a glitch and moves along. At the office, Sal is in charge of accessing people's memories to gather evidence and solve crimes. Today a father explains that his son is missing and hasn't returned his calls. Sal checks the database where the government keeps a backup of all of the implant footage. The son's last recording is sent to the father, and he's devastated to watch his boy self-delete from the top of a building. Next, a woman claims that a maid stole her bracelet from her hotel room. Sal checks the maid's recordings and proves that she didn't steal anything. After the woman leaves, it's revealed that Sal didn't show her the full footage. The maid did take the bracelet and used it to pay rent, so Sal protected her out of sympathy. The next case is a man who shot a person on the street and claims it was self-defense. There's even footage from a baby who saw everything. However, Sal has discovered that the shooter drank a lot before the incident and wasn't actually attacked, so he'll be charged as a criminal. Later, Sal is called to a crime scene. A man has been shot in the head and his record has a block for some reason, so Detective Charlie has to give Sal clearance. The footage shows the man entering his apartment and reading a book while drinking some wine and listening to music. Suddenly the footage glitches and changes to the killer's point of view. The victim's implants have been hacked and he panics because he's looking at himself in front of a gun, so he sees his own death. The metadata of the time of death says the man had been alone. This means the killer has no signature or meta trail. Charlie shares that some months ago another man was killed exactly the same way and shows Sal the recording. Back then they thought it was an anomaly in the system, but they're reopening that case after today's events. The previous victim had a woman as his last visitor, but she had no ID. After Charlie asks Sal to keep the case details a secret, Sal tells him about Anon and shares what he saw. When Sal goes home he gets naughty with his girlfriend, but he can't stop watching Anon's footage during the act. To his frustration, the footage is suddenly deleted from the database. His girlfriend realizes he's looking at another woman while he is with her, so she breaks up with him and leaves. The next day the detectives meet with Lester, an IT expert. He reveals that the footage of the victim reading the book is old and the killer used it to replace the moments before his death. The music is covering up all the noises in the room, but Lester has managed to find the sound of a doorbell. This means the man had an unidentified guest. Both victims had part of their records deleted to get rid of humiliating or criminal memories, so the detectives conclude that they hired a hacker to do the job and the hacker later killed them. Sal points out that Anon matches the description of the last person seen with the victim and shares that his recording of her was deleted. He asks Charlie for a copy, but Charlie's is gone too. Moments later Sal and Charlie discuss the new information they've found. All the people who saw Anon on the street had edits in their records that removed her presence from the footage. Sal thinks she must have built an algorithm that automatically searches for her and erases her from the database. Random people on the street don't notice a small random gap, but if someone has met her properly then they end up dying. After work, a depressed Sal watches a memory of his dead son while drinking a lot. He decides to call his ex-wife Kristen and reminds her that the next day it would be their son's birthday. However, Kristen thinks that Sal has to stop bothering her and needs to move on. Her new husband interrupted the conversation to scold Sal for calling so late at night. After Kristen calls him out for getting drunk, an annoyed Sal hangs up. When he tries to look at the case file, he discovers a restriction and a mention of an anomaly. Meanwhile, a woman is having dirty fun with her girlfriend. Suddenly both of their implants start glitching and they start seeing a hand pointing a gun at them. The women beg for their lives but the stranger quickly shoots them. Moments later Sal is at the scene of the crime with an officer, who found the murders after the maid called 911. Sal accesses the maid's footage and notices some glitching before she finds the bodies. Then he watches the officers chat with the maid, who shares a description of the killer that matches Anon. Suddenly Sal and the officer hear a noise and realize the killer may still be in the house. The officer moves ahead first and is immediately shot down. Sal searches for the shooter and sees a person running, so he chases after them. When he enters the subway station, the murderer shoots a tube light to slow him down. Sal takes the stairs and his implants start glitching, causing him to slip and fall down the steps. Then he boards the train, but when he looks around, he discovers this is a fake visual. The real train hits him and throws him against the wall. At the police station the detectives analyze the victim's footage. The women weren't out of the closet and one of them was the daughter of an important conservative politician. Recently they paid a hacker to remove the memories of each other from the records. Charlie wonders why the killer meets with the clients if they don't want their face seen, since they could do the deletion by hacking into the implants at home. Lester points out that the criminal must want to avoid leaving any traces behind and Sal theorizes they want to be paid in cash since it's the only currency that can't be hacked. The team has found some unregistered DNA left behind that suggests the killer has been intimate with the victims. After Sal shares what happened in the train station, he thinks the only way to catch the killer is by hiring her to set up a trap. The following month, Sal goes undercover as a broker to create lots of memories that make it look like the real deal. One night, he hires a working lady and they get dirty in his new fancy apartment. After the woman leaves, he calls his fake fiancée out of guilt as part of the act. The next day he's afraid his fiancée may find out about his infidelity, so he sends some messages on a dark web bulletin board asking for a hacker. Many potential hackers answer his request, but since they have the killer's description from the maid, Sal turns down every person who doesn't match. Eventually Anand contacts him and they arrange a meeting. Sal goes to the pier and Anand approaches him from behind, asking him not to turn around. He tells her about his affair and Anand takes the job, so they go to his apartment. After sharing a drink, Anand easily hacks into Sal's implants and starts the deletion process. In the neighboring apartment, Lester scans Anand to try to get any useful information. In just a few seconds Anand deletes the time with the working lady and copies the footage from a previous night to cover the gap. She also promises to delete his face from the working lady's record. Anand promises she respects privacy and only looks at what he wants her to look, but if he ever crosses her she'll make him regret it. Once the job is done, Sal chats with Anand and tries to learn more about her, but she's evasive. When she's about to leave she suddenly turns around and points her gun at him. Anand makes him turn around and says she'll delete her own face from his record, then she disappears. Sal rushes out of the apartment but she's already gone. Lester also comes out and announces he's been able to track one of her proxies. The next day the detectives meet Cyrus, a new tech specialist who uses the proxy Lester found to hack into Anand's implants. They watch her life through her eyes and discover she lives in a fancy loft, probably downtown. However, her location isn't traceable if she doesn't go into the records. Anand has a drink, counts her money, and loads her gun. Charlie notices the model matches the bullets found in the bodies. Afterward she does her beauty routine and gets in bed. Now she finally accesses the record database and Charlie is shocked by how she gets past the protocols in just 1 second. She watches the meeting between an art dealer and a forger, who make a deal to sell some fake paintings. Anand deletes this scene and replaces it with the dealer just finding the paintings in a basement. After Anand logs out, the team confirms they've managed to trace her 12 proxies. Unfortunately the last one is anonymous because it's a proxy that hackers use to hide. The team then checks on the dealer and finds him selling the fake paintings. That night Sal can't stop dreaming of Anand undressing before going to bed. In the morning Sal returns to the station and the team explains they've been keeping an eye on her, but she still hasn't left her place. Suddenly the team loses her signal. It turns out that Anand broke her proxies and has started a new chain, which is common practice among hackers. Moments later the detectives are informed that the art dealer has been found dead and the recording confirms it was the same method as the last 2 victims. Soon they get a visit from the bureau commissioner, who doesn't care about the victims because he thinks they deserve it. However, he announces that this case is the top priority because Anand is a threat to the system and anonymity is considered the enemy. There are rumors of a ring of hackers who anonymize themselves and others, so he wants the team to find and kill Anand. Since the detectives don't have any leads, Charlie tells Sal to go undercover again. Sal is worried about his latest memories not matching the cover story, but Lester and Cyrus will patch it out. That night Sal buys some illegal substances from a dealer on the street. The next day he goes back to his fake job and messages Anand, who agrees to come to his apartment. While she modifies Sal's record from last night, Lester tries to track her again. She wonders if Sal did this to see her again and asks him to share the happy powder he bought. When he asks her if she knows other hackers, she dodges the question. The duo keeps chatting and Anand avoids answering questions, but eventually she reveals she became anonymous when she was 18. She also admits she never felt comfortable in the real world and prefers the virtual space. Suddenly Anand pulls her gun out, but Sal gently pushes it off and they kiss. They end up in bed and do the dirty, which Anand promises to delete as well. After they're done, Anand goes to the bathroom and decides to look further in Sal's files, so she finally learns the truth. While Sal is getting dressed, he suddenly hears a gunshot. He rushes out of his apartment and finds Lester dead. Anand is already in the subway and calls Sal to tell him that if he keeps chasing after her, he'll die. After she hangs up, Sal looks at Lester's footage and confirms he was killed by the same method. Later at home, Sal gets another message from Anand commenting on the drink he's having and confirms she's hacked into his implants. She promises she'll stop him and that he hasn't seen anything yet. Then she starts playing some of his old memories. Sal sees himself being beaten up in an alley and getting attacked by a dog. It's so real that he moves around the room as if he could dodge it. Next, thousands of rats invade his apartment, but this is a vision too. Lastly, she plays the death of Sal's son from the boy's perspective. While Sal was looking away, his son ran to the street to catch his balloon and was hit by a car. In the morning, Sal tries to revisit his favorite family memories and is horrified to discover that they've been deleted. He calls Kristen to ask for a copy of her memories and she discovers that hers were deleted too. When Sal leaves the apartment, he finds the corridor on fire and starts shooting his gun. A neighbor talks to him and he realizes it's another vision. Next, he tries to take the elevator and the vision almost makes him step into the empty shaft. While driving to work, Sal accidentally crashes his car into a bunch of vehicles because the visions made him believe that the street was empty. Charlie soon arrives and tells Sal that he should take a break. Their conversation is interrupted by another detective informing them that Sal's neighbor was found dead and the footage shows that Sal did it. Later, Sal is interrogated and he explains that he did fire the gun, but he didn't kill anyone. The team doesn't believe him because the bullet appears to be from his weapon. When Sal explains that it was all hacked, Cyrus says there are no signs of alterations. Charlie suspends Sal, who will be under house arrest with surveillance around the clock. That night an officer outside and Cyrus at the station look through Sal's implants as part of the surveillance. Sal pretends to go to sleep and closes his eyes, keeping them like that as he leaves the apartment. Eventually he reaches the car and opens his eyes to knock out the officer with a punch. Remembering the details he saw on the footage, Sal manages to find Anon's apartment. He gets in with his gun out, but Anon is waiting with her weapon as well. She reveals that someone has been killing her clients and making it look like she did it. To prove it, she shows him the recording of her leaving the building while Lester was getting shot, but Sal can't tell if it's real. Suddenly they hear a police siren and Anon disappears. Sal rushes downstairs to meet Charlie, who scolds him for leaving his place. Sal tells him that Anon may not have done it, but Charlie thinks he's been fooled and relieves Sal of all duty. Later at his apartment Sal receives a message from Anon, who is standing outside. She sent fake footage to technicians in the station so they think Sal is just sitting around and a fake alarm to the officers outside to make them leave. Then she starts making her way inside. Meanwhile Sal suddenly sees the vision of the killer with the gun out. By the time he turns around, Sal's already being shot and the killer is shot in the leg at the same time. To Sal's surprise, the murderer is actually Cyrus and it was Anon who hit his leg. An angry Cyrus pushes Anon against the wall, saying they weren't supposed to meet. Anon realizes Cyrus was the last proxy who had been keeping her safe and wonders why he made it look like she did it, so Cyrus says they're in this together. At that moment Sal manages to retrieve his gun and shoots Cyrus, who grabs Anon and drags her away with him. Sal follows them out and looks at the wall, letting both hackers mess with his vision. When he has Cyrus' exact location, he shoots him down. He's so angry that he keeps firing even after Cyrus dies. Afterward Anon walks away without a word. Sometime later at the station the commissioner notices that Cyrus' record is gone and scolds Charlie for hiring him, only for Charlie to remind him that he recommended him. However, the commissioner denies it and realizes that Cyrus faked the recommendation. Sal is asked about Anon, but he refuses to answer. The next time he visits the pier, Sal confirms that the records of his son are back. Anon visits him and explains she tricked Sal because it was the only way to find the killer. She also reveals that she's able to bypass the surveillance network by spreading her records in microsecond slices throughout everyone else in the network, making her untraceable. Only the algorithm can put the slices back together to form her life. Sal promises he'll make the charges go away but wonders why she wants to hide so badly. Anon says she doesn't have anything to hide, she just doesn't want anyone to see her life. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.